have here for the next 25, 30 minutes is on diversity in tech. My name is Eric Overfield. I'm a Microsoft MVP. I'm also a Microsoft Regional Director. Enough about me. We're going to go straight to our panel now. So the first question I have I'd like each of you to answer, please, is what's your name, what do you do for Microsoft, and how did you get here?
Hi, my name is Shen. I'm a group program manager for Microsoft Staff Hub. It's a new product targeted at first-line workers, new demographic we're going after. I've been at Microsoft since I graduated from college, a little echoey. Wanted to be a program manager coming out of college. I was a CS major in undergrad. Decided I didn't want to be a developer, and Microsoft was kind of the place to do program managers. So picked that as my first job out of school. Figured I'd be here maybe a few years and then jump to a startup, but I've been here now 12 years.
Wow, that's awesome. Hi everyone, my name is Priyanka Sinha and I work on the PowerPoint team. I'm sure a lot of you have used Office and used PowerPoint a lot of times. I also started right out of school and I had a number of job offers, and one of them was in Seattle at Microsoft. And since I went to school in upstate New York, I saw a lot of snow, and so I wanted to be in the sunshine. And fortunately, Microsoft had positions here in the Bay Area too. So I interviewed with PowerPoint, and then I started my career there as an engineer. I grew on the team, and now I'm an engineering manager with a team of 14 people. And it's been a blast, this entire journey.
Excellent. So hi everybody, I'm Paige Bailey. I'm an Azure Cloud Developer Advocate specialized in machine learning and AI. And I am brand new to Microsoft, so I just started in August. And prior to joining Microsoft, I spent about 4.5 years in the energy industry. I did things like geophysical plugin development, analytics, kind of well site monitoring, and also data science. And so after building out predictive models there, I got acquired to come here.
Cool. So this was supposed to be a panel on diversity and technology, and really I wanted to be a panel, meaning I would like your questions for us. We've got some great panelists. If there are any questions, please do shout them out. Raise your hand. I will get to you, or we're going to sit here for 25 minutes and twiddle our thumbs. No, please, let's try to think. I can start us off though. One of my questions is like, so what's the benefit of diversity and technology? What's the benefit we have?
So with the team, especially building products for everyone in this world, especially the scale of Office and the kinds of people that we build software for, it's so interesting just having different perspectives and just learning about how people use our products. Sometimes when we read user feedback from our customers, we're like, you did what? We never thought you'd use our features that we built a certain way to be used this way because it's from a different country, because it's from a different gender. And when you have a team that brings all of these perspectives together, I think you start building those products from the ground up with all of those perspectives built in. So I've definitely seen it during spec reviews, or even when we're talking about how we go build things out. I think it's definitely something that is underrated, and it's not just a checkbox to. And I've seen the difference that it has caused by having such a team.
Absolutely, and I would also like to state that so it's so strange to me too, especially in data science, that a lot of the problems that we tackle are tackled by many different industries. So for example, in the oil industry, route optimization was a huge issue. So how do you organize a fleet of trucks so that given some constraint that isn't necessarily distance, how do they go in the most efficient route to drop off whatever they need to drop off? Think about UPS, think about any sort of manufacturing fleet. They would have the same exact issue, this route optimization problem. So even though you come from dissimilar backgrounds, you're still able to kind of look at a challenge and spot a way to either problem solve it or a methodology that might not necessarily be the most straightforward thing in that industry.
And just applying ideas from one space to another,
Yeah.
but it just works,
Yeah.
right?
we see the diversity in thinking even within the different disciplines we have, right? Like, I think we have a lot of engineers that all approach things from a very binary, logical mindset. And for designers, they're more traditional. You think of them as more fluffy, blue sky. And even when you bring those kind of diverse people together with their different disciplines of training and also with their different backgrounds, you end up having a better result because you don't get this group pick where everyone's just being like, oh yeah, me too, right? Like you're actually challenging each other and challenging the assumptions that people are coming in with and saying, are you sure that that's really like the best way to think about things? What about this other perspective? And I think that diversity in both thinking styles and background helps bring a whole picture to you building a more complete product.
Come on, keep those questions coming. No. So what are some of the biggest challenges we're facing with having diversity in technology?
I can go first again.
It's okay, we're in a safe space here.
Yes, I talk a lot. My team knows that. Having me to shut up is a problem. But recruiting is definitely a pipeline that is so important when you're building up the kind of team that you want. And I think with our team in office, they've put in a lot of effort to make sure that a lot of diverse candidates have the right opportunities, or they're going to different kinds of schools, or tapping into all of those communities so that the opportunities are lined up when we're looking for jobs to fill up our teams. I think Microsoft does a really good job with that.
I think the other issue is a lack of performance. I've been at Microsoft 12 years. We just underwent a big reorg this past week. And for the first time in my career, I have a female in my management chain. I've never had a single female in my management chain the 12 years that I've been at Microsoft. And I think that's pretty telling, right? Because you look up and down your chain and you're like, wow, I see a lot of men, or I see a lot of people that don't look like me. Can I actually be successful in this environment? And I think that that's the thing that Microsoft specifically is addressing very head on. We report statistics about how quickly we're moving women and diverse, talent through our different levels and getting them to senior principal partner positions, getting them to VP positions. We're tracking that year over year. And it's not just like a, metrics thing. We actually have programs in place to help set up senior women, senior diverse candidates with, more junior roles so that they can actually get that mentoring opportunity. And being able to see how they could fit into this more senior world and not drop off at a certain level.
Yeah, and Jennifer, I love that you mentioned that. Like the team that I've been hired on is more than 50% considered diverse, which is amazing. It's something that I've never experienced before in any of my positions in tech. And also something that I've noticed at Microsoft that's a little bit different from elsewhere is that the women who are in senior leadership positions, they're not necessarily management-focused senior leadership positions. We have women who are technical fellows. We have women who are established engineers in their fields. So being able to get that kind of mentorship from someone who decided to pursue a more technical path has been really, really important to me because that's where I see my career headed as well.
I also think that one of the things that you mentioned, like going to school even, the proportion of girl students versus the guys was, as you went through college and through grad school, it was something that you just got conditioned through. And then when you came to the workplace, by that time you had almost gotten used to being a minority.
Yeah.
But it's so great that there's so much effort being made into solving these problems in all of these phases, right, from school to companies, and like you said, even in leadership roles right now.
I will say the beauty of like a diverse team is that diversity attracts diversity. I find that so my team is actually majority female, which is like a little bit different. But I feel like once you get that ball rolling and people can come in and see that, wow, this is actually a team that values a set of diverse opinions, and I can see how I can fit in here. That actually helps build upon itself.
Yeah.
And we had one female in engineering for a very, very long time, and then now we have like 15. Because it just snowballed as we started to build more of that culture that was really inclusive.
Absolutely. And people talk, right?
Yeah.
Engineers who've had good experiences, or PMs too, about this is the kind of culture, it's flexible, people are valued for their work, and Yes.
Speaking of diversity, what are the different aspects of diversity you guys think are important in our industry making so? Is it people from different cultures and countries? Is it people of different age groups, individuals? Is it different gender makers? Women in IT has been a challenge in the last decade in a lot of organizations, but more diverse.
Yeah.
But anyways, thinking about diversity back to our question, what are the aspects you guys think are more important?
Let me repeat the question. So, what are the different aspects of diversity within an organization?
Absolutely. So I'll go first this time.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, all of the above, right? So it is age, it is where people have come from, where they grew up. It's different backgrounds. So when I went to university, I was geophysics and applied math. So that's not necessarily who you would anticipate going into a computer science field, but I think it's given me a lot of additional insight that I wouldn't have otherwise, especially in the data science space. It's gender, it's whether or not a person likes pink versus blue, like anything that makes you a human being, anything that makes your multifaceted personality kind of speak to you, speak to your passions, like all of that's valued in tech.
So I'm actually a Microsoft veteran myself. I spent 3 years working for Microsoft, and one of the things I noticed is we had a lot of push for getting more women in IT. But when I was there, I didn't really see much in getting more millennials in IT, for example. Microsoft anyways does hire a lot of college grads, so I have a feeling they don't really have additional course for that. But what are the current programs going on in Microsoft to expand the diversity that we have?
Yeah.
So, what are the current current programs within Microsoft to encourage diversity in general?
Yeah, so Beyond the Limit, like you said, we actually have a specific recruiting program that reaches out to people with disabilities. And so it's setting up different ways that people with autism, for instance, can come in and work in a group environment to showcase their skills and their capabilities without the traditional interview loop that we all kind of expect from Microsoft, which can be really a disadvantage for people with more social kind of disabilities and challenges. And so this is something that I love about Satya and I love about Kathleen. They've really taken a different perspective. How can we build this diverse workforce with people with disabilities, people with other learning challenges, in which there's not a one-size-fits-all? And how do we make sure that we don't filter out people at the interview gate when that's with the wrong tools, rather than it actually speaking to a candidate's actual ability? So that's one example, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I also want to make sure. Whoa! I also want to make sure to point out that URL. We actually have the creator of it in the audience. Absolutely, and something that I also really love that's coming from out of Microsoft in the AI space. We have an app called CAI, which uses something, one of our products called Cognitive Services, to kind of take your phone, to use the video and picture, the optical input from your phone, and describe the scene, which helps people who are either hard of hearing or blind to understand the context that their environment holds. And then also in using Cognitive Services, again, the alt text for images are being incorporated into the metadata for websites. So something that blind people often struggle with is that on Twitter especially, you would see an image, right? And there's some sort of text associated with the image, but you're not able to see it displayed. Cognitive Services auto-generates that alt text, so anybody can kind of make sense of what happened.
I actually have a really interesting story related to that. A couple of years ago, I had an intern through the Microsoft program, and he had a visual disability, and we really care so much about making accessible products so that anyone can use them. And so we were trying to work on some of our features to make it great. And as engineers, we thought we did the best that we could to make the features super accessible and great. And then he used it for us, and in 10 minutes had so much great feedback that we had teams lining up to just talk to him so that they can go get feedback about how can they make this better for a real person. So that's the value of diversity, like just that perspective that even though we wanted to do our best, we couldn't if we didn't experience it through them.
Absolutely. And if you noticed in all of your talk sessions today, there's auto transcription happening while people are speaking. And that's another diversity motivation that we have. So anybody who attends this conference will be able to understand what's happening.
Which is cool tech by itself, by the way.
Yeah.
It's just cool.
We're at a tech conference, yay!
Two things. So, first, a compliment. I got a daughter with autism, so I appreciate that your definition of diversity is on all aspects of diversity, not the ones that make the headlines. Question is, right, we're in IT, we're data-driven. What I frequently see in the Bay Area, because we are so data-driven, is they approach diversity as statistics and numbers, which means they chase the metrics as opposed to letting diversity be the natural byproduct of the right culture. How do you guys make sure your diversity happens organically so you get the real benefits and that it doesn't become a metric or
So let me repeat that. How do we let diversity grow organically rather than just be data-driven, like checking off a box and we've met this and that?
I mean, I think you're up against a lot of systemic challenges. And so to some level, you do have to implement some top-level guidance to help drive that diversity. Otherwise, it's just organically, people knowing it's nice, it's not going to happen. And so the metrics, because everyone is so numbers-driven, does make for a very nice way to measure progress, but it doesn't measure quality, right? It measures numbers. One thing that we were doing for a while, and you can argue if this is the right thing or not, is that at least in our organization, when we were interviewing for senior positions, you had to have someone in the interview who was diverse. And that could be, someone with disabilities, that could be someone who was, African American, Hispanic, that could be someone who was female. Basically, like, you had to find at least one diverse candidate. And again, you can approach that from the perspective of I checked the box, I found a person, we didn't really want them, but I checked the box. But I think that violates the spirit of what we were trying to do. And I think that culture change comes from everything that Satya and Kathleen and our leadership team tries to embody in us as senior leaders to basically say, here are some mechanics that we're going to enforce to try to get you guys to do this, because otherwise it's really hard. But understand the spirit of what we're trying to do and don't just check the box. And again, you do have people that will go and do that. But I think that culture change and the way that our senior leadership constantly talks about it as like both the value and the benefit and also the culture that we want to create of being really inclusive at Microsoft really is starting to keep the people that really have that same mindset and grow that within the company, and people who don't really believe in that, like, you're not going to last very long. So I don't know if you have other perspectives.
I'd just add to that I think really good interviewing skills and a consistent set of interviewing skills is so important as you're building a team. Recruiters do a great job of lining up great candidates for us, but once they're there, to provide them with an experience that is evaluating them for their job and trying to get rid of some of these internal biases that people might not be aware of even, and just having those good guidelines around interviewing can help a lot. That don't consider certain things or don't ask these types of questions, and have them be, and Microsoft spends a lot of time into interview training and making sure that we're actually evaluating the best candidate for the role and try to be as objective, so it's not metrics driven. You actually end up hiring the person you want on the team.
And I love Jennifer's comment that if you create an inclusive workplace, people will just kind of naturally flock to that. So it might have been in the beginning for some companies a box checking exercise, but then after they built a pipeline of having women in technical leadership positions, a well-known program that has 50% women engineers or something of that nature, people will start paying attention. So it's just a process, right? Like, you're not going to fix it overnight. So you just have to kind of keep that.
Yes, so please.
I guess we all can agree that just curious to see what are the challenges you guys have faced and what are the actions you have taken to mitigate some of those challenges.
What are some of the challenges you face and some of the actions that you've taken to address that?
That's actually a really good question, and it's a hard question.
It is.
So we have a team of people from different backgrounds, different countries. One really common example is English not being, your first language, but yet, you're awesome engineers. I love that. And I've worked with engineers personally on my team who've had confidence issues because they felt like just because they couldn't communicate their ideas out, they felt like they weren't being impactful. To just get over that, I was like, I don't care about your grammar. You're a software engineer. Just write what you feel like. And letting them be in an environment where it's okay to not, speak perfectly if, your engineering work is great, and just encouraging that and also helping them. I mean, this is just one small example, but I think it's all about the support system that an individual feels when they work on that team. You're not just someone just typing up some code. You're part of a team that supports each other and understands that we're all different and respects each other for those differences and encourages each other to learn from. I've learned so much from people on my own team about different cultures, about how I could do things better and differently. And again, it goes back to this is why diverse teams are great.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. So my team, we're all kind of work from home as first, and then if we want to go into the office, that's kind of the second. But it's allowed us to attract a number of folks who wouldn't necessarily have come into software engineering at Microsoft in the first place. So we have people who are stay-at-home dads, which is wonderful. We have people who are able to go and see their children's practices in the afternoons. We have someone who just recently took a leave of absence to go and support their family through a difficult time. So just having that flexible schedule, and I've actually heard from a number of people recently going into software engineering that the reason that they chose this specific field was because as a mother, it was the best way for them to be able to stay at home with their kids, which was awesome to me, right? Like if you're a work from home software engineer, then if you also want to take care of your kids, you have that option.
Yeah, I think supporting the different working styles also. So because language can be challenging and people are introverts, they may not feel comfortable speaking up, being the loudest voice in a meeting. But being able to have all those channels where they can still make impact by having meetings offline, by having email and Teams and all these other places in which they can still make their voice heard. And having as leaders be inclusive of all those different channels and recognizing and suggesting to people different ways in which you can coach them to go and use those different channels, I think also supports the different working styles. I think the one you called out that I don't have a good answer for, the visas and the immigration, we totally face that. I had one of my reports had to go to India for 2 months to just wait to get her student visa renewed so that she could come back into the States. And she was just stuck there for 2 months.
But Microsoft has been making a lot of effort with immigration laws and trying to keep all of the employees.
Companies that didn't have influence in immigration, and they are taking all the right steps towards that.
Yeah.
The comment being that Microsoft is making the right steps towards immigration and trying to help out a lot. Yeah. So a question I have, and I found in my career that mentors and people that I can look up to, role models, are really important. In the few minutes we have left, would each of you be share a role model or two, or who helped you get here? I mean, it doesn't matter at all relate to this panel. How might you go find a good role model? How might you help
For me personally, I've been really fortunate in my career to have really awesome managers. So almost every single one of my managers has really watched out for me, has been really in tune with basically the dynamics within our team and within the industry. I'm pregnant right now. My team is incredibly supportive, and I think that's what has kept me at Microsoft. That I've had that amazing support system. I think if I had a manager that was not supportive in that way, I'd be gone. And so it's a little bit I've been really fortunate that I've had that, and I haven't had to seek out specific mentors because basically every single one of my managers has been an amazing mentor to me. But I think that's as senior leaders, the power you have in shaping a culture and shaping a company, shaping a team.
I'd like to echo that as well. Like throughout my childhood all the way up till now, I've had really supportive mentors in all different aspects of life, right? So not just technical mentors, but also mentors in terms of management styles, mentors for creative pursuits, so music being one of them. And all of them have just been so incredibly inspiring. I remember I grew up in a small town, so I never met a woman who was an engineer or a scientist until I went to college. And then I finally met one, and she was amazing. You know, PhD from Harvard, geoscience manager, like decided to go and take a 2-year stint in China, like without her family even, and somehow managed to make it work for her career. And that was the first time I heard her story. I was just blown away. Like, oh man, I want to do that. You know. So just like you mentioned, having those people who are kind of burning bright that you can kind of aim for. I think that can never be dismissed. And Microsoft has been chock full of those, or at least in the organization.
That's great. My answer is a little cliche, but my first role model was my dad, and he was an engineer, and he had 2 little girls, and he wanted both of us to love engineering as much as he did, and so he'd always help us like with math and science homework, and just watching his passion, I think, is what instilled like both my sister and I to become engineers. And I completely agree with the two of you that starting at Microsoft and finding that support system with a great set of managers, I don't think I would be in my career without their support. And also just finding colleagues who just think similarly and are there to support you to do the best thing for the product and for the team. And once you have that, it's just so great.
I'm so glad you mentioned your dad, because my mom, like, she's not into technology at all. She is a complete Luddite, but she did rescue a computer for me when I was just a kid. So it was about to be thrown away. And even though she didn't see the value in computers, she was just like, oh, well, Paige likes taking things apart and putting them back together. Let's get this for her. So having supportive parents is also important.
So good for us as parents, right? Encourage our kids, whoever they are.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're out of time. I really appreciate everyone's time. We've got another panel coming up. I would ask for closing words, but I think we're out of time. So thank you again,
Thank you
and
so much.
thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you all.